As a 3D artist, do you need to know how to draw? Yes. Anyone who tells you otherwise is either lying or doesn't know how to draw and trying to convince you and themselves that it is okay. Hi, welcome to Points of Perspective. My name is Adarsh, and in this video, I will be answering a variation of that question, and that is, how well do you need to know how to draw? A detailed 2D painting of, let's say, a market might take 3 days to create. However, the 3D version of the same market with the same amount of detail might take 3 months. 3D art is already very time consuming as it is. It's unwise to make it worse by adding an "I'll figure it out later" process to it. If you know how to draw, you can create a concept before even starting your 3D work, making your life much easier. Now, how much exactly do you need to know how to draw? That depends on your strengths and weaknesses. For example, when I make my artworks, I like to experiment with colors while I'm working on my 3D project, so I might not pay much attention to the colors while I'm creating concepts. However, an approximate visual idea of how my final output will look in terms of composition and shape language is very important to me before I start my 3D work. As long as I can make 2D concepts that fulfill those needs, I'm good to go. Let's say I'm designing a 3D logo. I would first create some concept sketches. They don't have to be detailed at all. They just need to be good enough for me to get an idea of what I want in my final product. In your professional life, you will very likely be working in a team. You will seldom be a one-person army. Working in a team is all about communicating your ideas and bringing synergy to work. Most projects are collaborative efforts. Let's say you are leading a team of 3D artists and you want them to create a landscape in a very specific art style. You can either verbally explain every surface detail, the color palette, shapes, composition, proportion of objects, lighting, and a million other things, and hope that all your team members visualize those details exactly the way you did. Or you can give them a painting as a concept to follow. This applies to your team as well. If they are building a 3D asset together, it's important to sketch out some initial concepts to exchange with each other to be on the same page. This is exactly why you have concept artists, to bring all the people who are working on a project on the same page. But you won't have a concept artist on every project you work on. You will have to be self-reliant. Drawing enhances your ability to observe and understand shapes and proportions. Since you are restricted to one camera angle, understanding negative space and framing different compositions is much easier to understand in 2D than in 3D. For instance, if you want to design a character, it's much easier to quickly sketch out multiple variations of proportions, expressions, silhouettes, and poses instead of creating 3D models of every variation. If you're starting out in 3D art, what you might fail to understand is that 3D art is 2D art in 3 dimensions. Just because you're viewing an object in 3 dimensions does not mean you can skip the 2D part of it. For example, a framed painting in real life. Yes, the frame is 3D, but you have to make the 2D painting in order to frame it. This is a box. You can view this box as 3-dimensional, or you can cut the box open and view it as 6 2-dimensional squares put together. I can create a pencil sketch or a painting of this box and it will look good, but as soon as I turn this into 3D, this is what it looks like. It looks a little off. It's because this box is just a cube with color. In the 2D versions, we can see that the brush and pencil strokes inherently create some surface details, but you fail to put those details on your 3D box. Now sure, if you're using a PBR or a photorealistic workflow, you will use roughness and normal maps, but these maps respond to light. Normals might appear too aggressive or just flat, depending on the orientation of your light source. For roughness details, the light needs to reflect in a specific way for you to see these details from your viewing angle. However, the most important details are the ones that are visible in any lighting conditions. And those are the details in your base color. Adding color variation through noise, dirt, simulating brush strokes for a stylized look, and adding patterns are various ways you can achieve this. But to create this, you need to know how to make 2D textures like custom-made patterns and hand-painted textures. These differences in 2D and 3D are much more apparent and much more noticeable if you know a little bit about the 2D side of things. All in all, can you master a 3D software and make 3D assets without knowing how to draw? Sure, definitely. But creating 3D models and slapping textures on it is more of a mechanical skill than an artistic skill. What type of textures to apply? How should your model be shaped? What kind of lighting you need? What kind of backdrop you need? All these are artistic skills that you will develop with experience and time. Knowing how to draw or having some understanding of 2D art will make this process much faster and will make you a much better artist. So the next time anyone tells you that to be a 3D artist, you don't need to know how to draw or possess any sort of 2D skills in general, just agree and walk away. Keep the secret to yourself. I'm kidding. If you like this video, just share it with them and press the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.